Hey everyone. So, I was surprised by how many of my friends didn't know what this was when I showed them I bought it. But because of Stranger Things premiering this summer, and because it takes place in 1985, Coca-Cola partnered with them for a little bit of synergy, a little bit of product placement, and they re-released New Coke. Now, if you already know what New Coke is, you can probably skip a little bit to when I actually try it, but I'm going to kind of explain what it is here. So, it's the early 80s. Coke market share in the soda world was starting to get reduced. Pepsi was coming on. And there were various theories about how for Coke to increase its sales. They had just launched Diet Coke and they had done some other stuff. Now, there are some people who can't tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi. I don't know how. But Coca-Cola has a bit more bitterness and is less sweet. And part of the bitterness is because they use cocaine leaves, but they take the cocaine stuff out of it. They're called decoconized coca leaves, one of those fun things I learned when I took a drugs and chemical dependency class in college. But because Pepsi's sweeter, it often did better in blind taste tests where you're only doing like a sip at a time. However, what they didn't realize is that what you like in small doses, which would be super sweet, might be too much if you're buying like 2-liter bottles for your family over the course of a week and stuff. And that's kind of maybe where the downfall went with this, aside from marketing and insulting. But Coke decided to do like a radical thing during this Cola War period, and that was revamp their entire formula and make it a brand new formula, or a new Coca-Cola. So, they launched it. Even though there was some market data from their focus groups that said that maybe a small percentage would be just upset about the whole thing about changing this, American icon. I mean, even if you look at Rammstein, German band's song about America, their thing is like Coca-Cola, sometimes war, which describes America perfectly. But maybe not the sometimes part. But... and that vocal minority ended up kind of exploding, even though supposedly New Coke doesn't taste that bad. Now, I was born only a couple years before New Coke came out, so I was probably too young to drink soda. So I don't believe I ever had New Coke when it came out. But when New Coke, it wasn't discontinued at first when they got rid of it, after the backlash, which only took like 79 days or something like that. They reintroduced the original Coke, but they called it Coca-Cola Classic. And they kept New Coke on the market under the name of Coke 2 with a Roman numeral 2. And as a kid, I do remember seeing Coke 2 in stores, but I don't think I ever had it. I have a vague memory of being in Stop and Shop, the local supermarket chain up north where I come from. And I remember asking my grandmother when I went shopping with her what the difference between Coke or Coca-Cola Classic, which just would have said Coke, and then Coke 2 was. And she was like, oh, the other one's bad or whatever. I don't know why. And I also remember a few years back, after Forrest Gump came out, the author of the original Forrest Gump novel wrote a sequel to his novel called Gump and Company. And one of the things that happens in that novel is that Forrest Gump throws a bunch of shit in like a bowl and creates New Coke. And like the Coke executive wife that he's having an affair with or something, it's been a while since I've read the book, so forgive me if I'm wrong on this, loves it. But he doesn't remember what he threw into it. So then when he goes to actual Coke and he throws a bunch of other shit because he doesn't remember, then it tastes terrible and nobody wants it anymore. So that's basically my main memories of New Coke. But since I love soda and I like when they take discontinued sodas and bring them back, obviously this was my favorite, Crystal Pepsi. But I figured I'd try this. Now, normally I stay away from colas, even though I love the taste of cola because it has phosphoric acid, and phosphoric acid gives me kidney stones, which are very, very painful, and if I have to go to the hospital, very, very expensive, because I did go to the hospital a couple months ago for a really bad kidney stone, worse than I've had in a while. But what is in New Coke? Well, nutritional information is not provided on this can. All it has is, like, the Stranger Things logo there, and it says, enjoy this limited edition 1985 can in celebration of Stranger Things 3, and then some copyright stuff, and not for retail sale. And it basically says to call a phone number or go to Coke.com for the nutritional information. So perhaps I'll do that after the video, and I can post it in the whatevers. But I'm pretty sure it absolutely has phosphoric acid. So the reputation of New Coke is basically that people did like the taste of this more than original Coke in taste tests if you didn't tell them what it was. And then they had a lot of backlash once you told them it was the new Coke, that people were somehow very married to the fact that Coke not change, because Coke seems to be part of like American identity along with like apple pie and imperialism. So so people were just like they found it like aghast, or they found it was like an affront to them that they changed Coke's formula. I mean, after they reintroduced regular Coca-Cola Classic, they did get a spike in sales, so there were some conspiracy theories like that was the plan all along, to make people interested in Coke because of that, and then they drive the sales out of, like, spite for the Coke executives. But I don't think they were thinking that at all. But basically its reputation from someone who's never actually drank this stuff before is that it's closer to Pepsi than it is to regular Coke, and that it's sweeter. I've also heard the rumor that it's pretty much just Diet Coke formula if you add sugar into it. Now, I don't know if this has cane sugar or high fructose corn syrup. Coca-Cola Classic did have cane sugar for a while, and then I think it was in the 80s. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's around the same time New Coke launched that they replaced that with high fructose corn syrup in the United States. Now, obviously, you can still get cane sugar Coca-Cola, like Mexican Coke, that they kind of sell in like regular retail stores like Target now, and most soda fans will tell you that that one does taste better than the fructose corn syrup Coke, but, you know, corn is America's crop, and it's like super cheap and subsidized here, so it's cheaper than sugar, which we get from like Brazil and stuff. So I'm not sure if this, or like, I'm not sure if the original New Coke had cane sugar, and I'm also not sure if this re-release has cane sugar, but I assume they're re-releasing it with the original formula. But I do hear it's sweeter, and I've also heard the rumor that it's just Diet Coke, which doesn't taste like regular Coke at all, if you added sugar to it. So that would be their different formula, which is odd because Coke Zero, or as they're calling it now, Coke Zero Sugar, I don't know why they rebranded that name, but Coke Zero tastes more like regular Coke with artificial sugar, and Diet Coke just tastes like sewer water. But what do you expect from, you know, Donald Trump's favorite soda? So I'm very curious to see if this just tastes like Pepsi to me, or if it's disgusting or whatever. I'm very interested in this, because while I can't drink Coke and while I don't like capitalism, the Coke iconography and all of the like old-timey Coke stuff is really up my alley, because I'm a really big soda fan. But that's enough ado. Sorry for boring you guys for 7 minutes. Let's actually try this fucker. So, it smells like just regular Coke, I mean. Maybe a little on the, I want to say, crisper side as far as the smell. Like, maybe a bit closer to, like, the Red Bull Cola smell than if I were just opening a can of Coke. And you know, maybe I'm a pretentious asshole, but I prefer soda in bottles if possible. But, you know, cans are cheaper and more plentiful. Oh, down the hatch. That's not quite what I'm expecting. It tastes, so it tastes like cola. It is lacking the, so I associate Coke kind of with two things, and so I should say the only way to buy this is if you buy sort of a package deal on the Coke store website, where you get 2 cans of New Coke, which are both 12 ounces, normal can size, and you get 2 like limited edition 8-ounce bottles of Coke. One is Coke, regular Coca-Cola Classic, and one is Coke Zero Sugar. So, again, like, because of the kidney stones, I don't drink Coca-Cola Classic all that often. I kind of limit myself to, like, 1 a year, and I usually go for vanilla Coke, because that's my favorite of the Coke line of products. So I've had regular Coke, like, a couple days ago, recently, so the taste is fresh in my mind. New Coke, so far it feels like it's more refreshing, like it's more, I don't want to say watery, because I don't want to imply that the taste is watered down or anything, but it's smoother. It definitely is smoother, because Coca-Cola Classic, or at least I think just the American one, maybe because of the high fructose corn syrup or not, but it has a thicker taste to it. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call Coca-Cola Classic refreshing, because after you drink it, tongue feels coated in syrup. It's just a thicker feeling in your mouth. Phrasing. Someone gift that. Um, Pepsi is probably more smooth and refreshing than Coca-Cola, but because it is so incessantly sugary, it can be a little sickening if you drink more than one at a time, which is also why I prefer Coca-Cola Classic to regular Pepsi, though Crystal Pepsi is still my favorite of the cola products. Bring it back, Pepsi. Jesus Christ. Bring it back permanently. Give me, like, kegs full of it. Anyway. This is both more refreshing than Coca-Cola Classic, but not as sweet as I was anticipating. I was anticipating this to be along the lines of Pepsi as far as sweetness goes, but it's not. It's like it has like just a normal amount of sweetness. I would probably bet this has regular cane sugar in it. I might be wrong, but that's my feeling on it. But mostly, I feel like they've played with the acidity here. Regular Coca-Cola Classic seems to have a pretty high acid content, and obviously it's the phosphoric acid that's in it. This seems to have a lower acidity, but maybe a higher level of carbonation, because it does tingle on the tongue for a bit more. It almost feels like any sweetness that comes with it almost feels like you have sugar that you're putting on your tongue and it's dissolving. Yeah, if I have one complaint about this, it's maybe that the cola flavor itself isn't as strong as I'd like it to be. Coca-Cola Classic basically pummels you with cola flavor, which is why it's sort of the go-to cola for people who want to drink a cola. And Pepsi is a bit more, here's some cola with a fuckload of sugar with it. Not like sickening like sweet tart sugar, but still a lot of fucking sugar in it. This is, it doesn't, I don't want to claim it tastes watered down, because it doesn't. But it's lighter, it's crisper, but it's slightly less flavorful, but it's also not as sweet as I was imagining. Less acidic, but a bit more carbonated. That's my guess as far as it. Someone can probably prove me wrong on that or whatever, or get into it. But that's my initial thing. So, this is something that, look, I'm just drinking this one can. I've got one more can I'll probably drink, and, I'll wait a couple of weeks, so, try not to load my body up with rocks. But if I'm just having one of these, I'm like, okay, this is a perfectly serviceable cola to drink, especially on a hot summer day, because it's a lot more refreshing. Because if I drink a Coca-Cola on a hot summer day, I'm going to need to almost immediately follow that with just a glass of water, because it's not going to hydrate me. It's gonna feel thick. Again, gift that, please. But this is a bit more refreshing. Like, I could drink this cola on a hot summer day and probably not need to immediately follow that up with just drinking normal water to stay hydrated. But it is lacking that flavor. It's like you taste cola. It's not like it's not like LaCroix cola or anything. It's not like a watered down, like there's no flavor in here. But it's just not quite strong enough. And it actually probably could stand to be like a pinch sweeter. Not a huge amount, but just like a little smidge more of sweetness. So that would be, and there's no decoconized coca leaves in New Coke either, so it doesn't have that bitterness or anything in it. And I don't mean to make it sound like it's a fucking IPA or anything. Coca-Cola isn't like a bitter drink, but So, yeah, in small doses, I can imagine this being really good, and especially during the summer, which is probably why they launched it then, or maybe just why they're re-releasing it along with the Stranger Things and everything. It just seems to fit more than like winter. But I can see why after 2.5 months, people would want the old formula back, because it just has more flavor. And, less so back when this was actually launched, but about now, soda has lost a lot of market share. People are a bit more like quote unquote health conscious or whatever. So yeah, they drink sparkling water, or they drink juice, or they just drink regular water, or vitamin water, or infused water, or anything like that. So soda consumption is across the board down. I mean, people still drink a fuckload of soda. I mean, back in I still worked at a movie theater back in 2018, and people just drank anything from the fucking soda fountain. I mean, people are drinking like 54 ounces or 52 ounces of soda. So I don't want to imply that soda is dying or anything, but it's definitely not as popular now as it was back in the 80s. But I can understand why people would want, like, if they're not going to drink as much soda and they're just going to have like one soda here or one soda there, or pick and choose when they're going to have a soda, I can understand why they'd want something that's got more bang for their buck in the flavor department. So yeah, I imagine when New Coke first started, there are probably people like, all right, this is okay, sure, and there were probably people who were like, this doesn't have enough flavor, and I think that might be what the issue was. Even though it's more refreshing, it didn't have quite enough punch, and then that's why it's like they want the flavor back. So that's my guess. But not bad. It's for a product that has been known as like one of the biggest failures, or maybe one of the biggest like backhanded successes of any industry, like this cautionary tale about changing a well-known product or whatever. It's kind of, I was hoping it would either be like really really good and I could be a contrarian and say that everyone was a fucking idiot in 1985, or that it would be really fucking terrible, but it's really just kind of, they basically just replaced Coca-Cola Classic with a perfectly serviceable, like, generic knockoff of it. So, like, it's been a while since, I don't drink a lot of colas, as I said, so it's been a while since I've drinking, like RC Cola, or like the fake Walmart or Harris Teeter generic brand of cola. Basically, because the Red Bull Cola doesn't have phosphoric acid, I can drink that, and of course, anytime Crystal Pepsi comes back, I, make a thing for it, but, I'm not big on colas these days just because of the health stuff, or because of the kidney stone stuff specifically. But I can understand, I don't know, I guess I was hoping this would be more one way or the other, but instead it's just kind of a, middle of the road cola, no big deal. Will say, you taste more cola at the end than you do at the beginning, sort of after the initial carbonation subsides. Okay. So, this was me ranting for way too fucking long about New Coke, because, I don't have as much time anymore with jobs and still unpacking my place and stuff, so I don't have time to devote to like the longer movie review videos, so that's why you're kind of getting bombarded with me just tasting new shit lately, or just for like the last year. Because back when I was single, I had the weekends and I had no plans, and I was just kind of sad in a way, so I could just make long rants about movies, but now I got things going on in my life, so I basically don't have time to, spend 18 minutes on a Friday afternoon drinking New Coke. Anyway, but thanks for sitting through some of this at least.